Penny Jake, the tribe has spoken.
Fuck you, Kevin.
Aw, fuck you too, sweetie.
I'm JJ, one of the original Tribe of Nerds members. You can catch me on Marvel, Pokemon, and other gaming podcasts.
What up? It's Josh, resident superhero nerd, but I also dabble in the occasional super villain as well.
Some may know me as the Chaos Gremlin, but really I'm just Joe King.
Pikachu, use Volt Tackle! Good job, Pikachu!
On the Tribe of Nerds. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Tribe of Nerds. Kevin and I are here for episode 4 of Survivor 48, and Kevin's wish came true, and I'm sure you're very happy, Kevin.
Listen, I am not a hateful person. I don't want this person to be unhappy. I know sometimes people get harassed when they go on these shows. I don't want any of that to happen to Thomas. I'm sure he's wonderful and lovely. However, I was not a fan. And so I am happy with the outcome of this episode.
Yeah, I mean, we'll get to it at the end, towards the end, but like, it was just so shocking going, and I did not expect that tribe to lose, and B, I did not expect like that Thomas was going to have this one episode downfall. So,
yeah.
It's very interesting. So, well, let's get into it. So we get our tribe swap officially, and we get the 3 new tribes. So the new Vula tribe, which seemed strong on paper, which was Thomas, Joe, and Shaheen, with Kyle and Camilla.
Can we side note? I do like a fun draft, and one of the, like, each week you pick the boot, right? And so I had the spoiler of who was on what tribes, and I was like, oh, well, that tribe's probably going to win. Yeah. So even though I have picked Thomas in previous weeks, like, hopefully, I was like, no, like, that tribe's going to win. Right. So like, I'm not even going to bother to pick any of them. And then they lost.
So shocking. We'll get there as well. But like, oh my God, like, this tribe should have had the puzzle people. They had the physical people. Like, everything should have worked out. So, and then Siva, we do get Mitch and Chrissy with Say and Cedric, and then Bianca's in the middle or on her own, it seems.
That is a hot mess group because Say was ready to turn on Cedric. Mitch was never working with Chrissy. Right. And Bianca, and now Bianca's going to be in a tailspin without Thomas.
Yeah.
Like, this is a hot mess express tribe. I hope they go to tribal council because that'll be fun.
Right. I
hope they don't, because I want them all to like I don't think any of them are working together, and I think that gives more options to the other people in the other tribes who are working together to like pick up people at the merge. So for that reason I don't want, but like for the mess I want them to go.
Oh yeah. So maybe it's not cut and dried. I know that like the 4 talked about getting rid of Bianca just to get rid of Alagi, but also again, Chrissy and Mitch aren't working together. Say does not trust Cedric anymore.
Right. And they're going to see that Alagi just went. So they're not going to want to necessarily do that. And like, it also doesn't make sense to put yourself now in a 2-2 position.
Right.
It makes more sense to put yourself in a 3-1 position. So like,
yeah, exactly.
They're both going to try to pick up Bianca, I think. That's what I would do.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like Say is smart enough to use Cedric for now till she can get rid of him safely. Like at this point, I think Say is going to go far now that she is, off a tribe that is losing everything. So
listen, I don't necessarily love everything that Say does.
Yeah.
But I love what that character brings to this show. It's amazing.
I loved her this episode. I like
Right.
her talking with Bianca and like basically just telling her like make your own judgment about Cedric. Like
Yes.
I'm not gonna tell
Yes.
you what to do with
Yes.
him. So like that was so good.
Yes. Like I understand that there are probably people who dislike some of the things that says and does, and like that's totally your prerogative. Like I'm not telling you, and like I'm not saying she does everything perfectly, but like I love what she brings to the episode
Yeah. Yeah.
and to the season as a whole.
Absolutely, absolutely. She's good casting. So, and then Loggy, we have Eva and Star with David and Charity, and then Mary is in the middle. So, uh, I mean, Eva is definitely bonding with David. I mean, David's gonna be her new Joe, clearly. So good on Eva. I know you saw the same post I did in the Tribe of Smokin' Facebook group or one of the Survivor Facebook groups of someone like, rightfully calling out people that have been really negative about Eva, like because of I just don't really get the people that are trying to call out Eva saying that she's like ostracizing Star for any specific reason. I like the
No,
reason
her and Star just clearly don't get along.
Yeah.
Like, and that happens sometimes. And like,
Yeah.
I think we do need to be cognizant as a society that there are people who will just say that they don't get along with certain people, and then you look at the pattern of who they do and don't get along with, and it's a problematic pattern because they never seem to be getting along with Black people or Hispanic people or brown people or gay people. Like yes, that does happen, but also sometimes you just have people who aren't the same, who
Right.
just don't get along. Like that just happens sometimes. So I don't get the vibe from Eva that it is at all based on Star's race. I think it really is just that her and Star were never working together. Star wanted her out, she wanted Star out, and
Right.
like it got back to Eva that Star had the clue and wasn't sharing it and was specifically lying to Eva about it, and Eva took that personally. Like within the context of the game, I think it completely makes sense, and like I think we need to be careful about just assuming anytime that this happens that someone is being racist. I just think we need to be careful of that.
Yeah, absolutely agree with that. It just has never seemed to me that that was the case. And yeah, I mean, Star was going off literally in the early episodes and going searching for an idol, not talking to anybody. So like that's on her.
And I say all this too, like, listen, if you dig up old posts and she's also said terrible things before, and like this is a pattern of her behavior, then like yes, that is a pattern that she should be called out for and should fix. But like I don't think that we have that here. No, like I think we just have two people who just aren't working together, and like
right,
that's okay.
Yeah, I mean, neither one has said anything about the other in terms of like, okay, I don't get along for the specific things we've talked about.
Right. So I just think it's funny. Like, I don't know what would happen there, right? Because I think the obvious power couple there is Eva and David, right? So do Eva and David pick up Mary? Or Mary, being the smarter player that we know that she is, does she pick up Charity and Star as the outsiders, right? Like, I don't think that's going to happen.
No, I don't either.
But like, that would be interesting if that did happen. I kind of don't think that group is going to vote. Just because, like, I think it's too much of a, like, I don't think that we are given enough as of right now to know, like, the clear narrative that we're getting is that it's going to be Charity or Star, right? Like, because either David's going to want to take out Charity or Eve is going to want to take out Star. So like, which one of them is going to get to take out the one that they want? And like, I don't think that we have enough information to like be on a side about that, which is why I don't think that they're going to go, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I agree with that. I honestly can see this like Charity and David thing that is coming up. I honestly think Charity could be the earn the merge boot or like
Mhm.
merge boot or whatever. I definitely can see that happening.
Yeah.
So, should be interesting. We do then get to the combined reward and immunity challenge. So it's for immunity and a bunch of fruit. And it is removing sandbags from this giant cube, toss them through the arch onto the barrel, and solve a 3-level puzzle. And we think that the new Vula is going to crush this, and they are in the lead, and they can't solve this puzzle, and they end up losing to both tribes. So,
Yeah. Um, the physical part of it was pretty even.
Mhm.
Like they have to move sandbags and like that part's fine, but that puzzle was like I was watching. I was like, oh, you could mess up that puzzle and not realize it,
Yeah,
and really mess yourself up, right?
right.
Like the physical part is fairly straightforward, but that puzzle you could have messed it up, not realized it, put a bunch of things in order, and think you only have to move one or two things, but actually you have to like redo so much of it. So I think that's what happened to that try. Like they just went down the wrong path, and they had to redo a lot instead of just like fix one or two things. But it looked like they only had to fix one or two things.
Yeah, yeah. It's crazy. Yeah, they just put in like 2 puzzle pieces wrong, and that's what cost them. So,
Right. But like to put those into the right places, you have to like adjust so many other things, and like I mean, it must have been so frustrating to be them, you know?
yeah, yeah, absolutely. I also like the throwing through the arch way because that is a challenge from Titans versus Rebels, Australian Survivor, and US Survivor took it from that when they last season.
Take more things from Australian Survivor.
Yes, 100%. Like better challenges over there. So, like for the most part, I mean, I have liked the challenges this season so far, but
Yeah. I so one of the biggest problems that they had in the first like 4 to 6 seasons of the new era was too much repeating, like literally reusing the same thing. Like how many times are they going to dig that giant ball up out of the sand for the earn the merge? Like they had the same puzzle for so many years with the tree. Like Carson had to memorize how to solve it, right? Like so they had that going on at the same time. And for some reason, like US Survivor like tries to make all of their stuff look like it's like been on the island, you know? Whereas US Survivor, or sorry, Australian Survivor, like they're not afraid of having like equipment, you know, like they're not afraid of showing the stuff that they use to build it. And like, yes, this is like a thing that we have constructed, you know, like I appreciate that they're like, no, we're just going to build this thing because this is the thing we want them to do.
exactly. Yeah, it's just crazy. Yeah, 4 or 5 straight seasons they did the same exact challenges. And yeah, like Carson, you said Carson memorized like every single puzzle and then won all those puzzle challenges. So yeah. All right, so we get back to this Vula camp, and this is where Camilla and Kyle have this really good strategy of throwing each other under the bus to fool the other 3 into thinking they're not that tight. It ends up working out. So this was a really good strategy for both of them.
Yeah. It was so like the fact that Camilla just started right with this narrative and Kyle just ran with it. And like that is such a good partnership. Like how often do we see that where like they don't even have to talk about it. They don't even have to make the plan. They just do it.
Yeah.
And like had those boys so convinced, they searched Kyle's bag right in front of her.
God.
Right in front of her.
And like Shaheen didn't even like actually dump the bag out. He just went through the top of it.
And did you see? Were you watching her during that? Because she was like, oh, she played that so cool. And you know she is freaking out because if they find his idol that she knows he has, she's going to be the one in trouble. Right. And like, you know that, I know that, she knows that.
Yeah.
And she's just like, oh, I don't know what's in there. What do you guys see? Like,
So good.
so good. Like, I will once again admit that like that preseason like intro video, my expectations for Camilla were on the floor, and like,
She's
amazing.
She's a really good player, I think.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. We've seen people go through bags in past seasons, and then they do actually find something, and sometimes they do stuff to get rid of it, or sometimes they don't. I mean, I'm thinking back to Survivor Gabon when they found Sugar's idol, but then they just decided not to take out Sugar. So,
I also like so they all knew Star had the big thing,
mhm.
right? So like they knew that. So they were probably looking for something that big, but they didn't realize that like he had opened it. So like he's only gonna have the little like friendship bracelet, right? Like the 4 beads on a string. He's only gonna have that. But I think they were looking for something big, so they were able to just kind of like feel around and like, okay, no, it's not there. Like in the words of one of my least favorite Survivor players of all time, big mistake.
Big mistake. Yes. Cancel Christmas. All right. So we're gonna get to Tribal. Kyle and Camilla are still keeping up this strategy at Tribal. So well played. And they're debating between Shaheen and Thomas of who to get out. I definitely thought that Thomas would be their vote, but I just didn't expect how well they were gonna really play this out and get it to go in their favor. So Kyle does play the idol.
Mhm.
Apparently, from what Dalton Ross has said, he did play the extra vote as well.
I've seen that he did play the extra vote, which like I did see him put it down on the table. And
Yeah.
I guess
Yeah.
I mean, I guess if you're afraid that Thomas has some kind of extra vote from because they know he went on the journey, they know he lied, they know he has something. If
Right.
you're afraid he has an extra vote, then they actually have 4 votes, right? So if they have 4 votes, they can split 2-2, and then
Right.
your 2 don't matter.
Yeah.
So if you use the idol, but there's still 2 votes on Camilla, like now you're still screwed. So it does actually make sense that they used it to be sure.
We did too, yeah, in case that happened.
Yeah, because if Thomas has, which they didn't realize it was a steal vote, which if he had stolen the vote, they could have done exactly that, and they couldn't have stopped them.
Yes.
Which like Thomas severely misplayed this.
Yes. Oh, absolutely.
So they were right to do that. Kind of thinking about it that way, but I wish that they had like shown that thought process and like the reason for doing that more. Because for the first like day or 2 after, like I was like, oh, well, that was a waste. Like, just use the idol. And I was like, oh yeah, because they know Thomas. But also that makes me think the fact that they didn't show that makes me think that that tribe is not going back to tribal council.
Yeah, I think now, I think out of who's left on that tribe, I think they're gonna win the next challenge. Like based on the edits, I think there's other people that are gonna go soon based on the edit. And so, although I didn't think this tribe was going to lose because I thought Thomas had more of an edit than those other people, but obviously that was wrong. So I'm interested to see like this tribe does wins if that happens. So who is gonna go then? So
yeah. No, I think I would like to see the Say and Cedric Bianca tribe go. That's who I want to see go.
yeah, I think I'm agreeing with you that it would be more interesting for sure.
I think that's the most interesting because does Say get it to flip on Cedric because we know she takes it personally when she gets votes, or does she bide her time, work with Cedric for now, and take out somebody else? I kind of think she's chaotic and like messy enough. She flips on a Cedric.
I don't think that's in her best interest.
I don't think it's in her best interest, but I think she might do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the Eva Joe Star Charity, I think that group is probably fine because, like I said, I don't think that we are given enough about like whose side to take. That I think that that's going to be left as a moving forward for now. So yeah, that's my prediction. I've been very wrong about predictions in the past, though,
Same.
so it's fine.
I thought so. I've been very wrong too.
But yeah, Thomas just so misplayed this whole thing. Thomas.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand. I do kind of understand that because it's a steal a vote, you have to steal a vote from someone. If you steal the vote from either one of them, like you tip off what the plan is.
Yes.
So I kind of understand that, but like, dude, play it anyway. Like,
yeah, and then just rebuild trust with Joe and Shaheen after, like, you know,
you go to them as soon as you lose. You go to them as soon as you lose, and you're like, hey guys, here's the thing.
that too.
Like, we actually have this. Let's split the votes. We're gonna split the votes in the two of them. The goal is get Kyle out. You two put your votes on Kyle. I'm gonna steal a vote from Kyle. I'm gonna put those two on Camilla, and that way, even if they have an idol, like there's nothing they can do. Like one of them still goes, right? Like that's how you play that when you're Thomas. And instead, he just fumbled the ball. Now, it would have been interesting if Kyle, it's probably why Kyle played the extra vote too. Because if Kyle gets to vote again, he can at least force the deadlock.
Yes.
Ooh. That would have been great because he played the immunity idol, so he would have been safe. And
it's between Camilla and Thomas.
Camilla and Thomas would have had the tie, so Camilla and Thomas would be safe. So then it'd be one of the other two boys that would. Oh, that would have been so good.
Well, if they,
Thomas, you robbed us of so much.
I mean, we would have had a revote, so they probably would have voted out Camilla at that point instead. But who knows?
Well, no, because Kyle would get to vote again, and he would have the stolen vote.
Oh, you're right. Okay, because yeah, he would get to. I forgot that he would get to do it on the revote. I see what you're saying. Yeah. That would be more interesting. We would have possibly gone to rocks.
Right. We could have possibly gone to rocks.
I'm sad.
And forced Joe. Well, or then have the situation where Joe and Shaheen are now. It's going to be rocks between the two of them. One of them, it's going to have to be one of them that gets rocked out. So now, do they turn on Thomas? Thomas, you robbed us.
Yeah,
you robbed us.
I think at that point they would have been convinced to get rid of Thomas for lying to them. So I think it's going to rocks. But
I mean, at that point too, they probably are like, one of us is going anyway. Like, bye, Thomas.
Yeah. Yeah. That would have been so exciting though, for sure. It was still exciting, but that would have been even more. Yeah. Wow. That's such a cool thing we just found out.
Thomas! This is why I hate Thomas. I don't hate Thomas. I need to stop saying that. It's not fair.
At least you brought entertainment.
I hate Thomas. It's fine.
Yeah.
It was a great episode. This is Survivor Gods. This is why we like swaps.
Yes. We need
swap the tribes. If you haven't voted yet, vote to swap the tribes. This is why we do it.
Yeah, the fans need to vote that for 50. It makes the game so much more interesting. At one point in my Survivor fandom, I used to not be a fan for some reason, if I remember, but like obviously over the years, I mean, swaps are so good. They're so needed.
Every now and then, like you get a Ghost Island, right? Like in Ghost Island, they kept swapping, and every time the same group was always in the majority on every tribe. So like sometimes, yes, it doesn't work out. The randomness, like makes it less interesting. That does happen. But for the most part, when you swap people, you're also like really testing there a bit. Like, what a great test and like a fantastic pass. Like, pass with flying colors for Camilla and Kyle.
Yes.
Like, for the entire episode, not just for playing the advantages correctly at Tribal Council, but for the whole episode. Like, so you don't get things like that happening if you don't swap them.
Yeah. Like swap for the most part. I mean, you go all the way back to the first swap in Africa, and you literally changed that entire game when like the Silas gets taken out because he gets swapped with Frank and T-Bird after mistreating them.
Right.
So, like,
right, because otherwise Silas stays with Lindsay and Kim and Brandon.
Yeah. The young,
and they take out Frank next. You know they take out Frank next.
Yeah.
They like T-Bird.
And then T-Bird's just gonna stay. Hopefully they win, and then T-Bird gets to flip on them at merge anyway. But
right. But yeah, there's so much more potential for fun and for drama when you swap them. So swap them.
Absolutely. All right. Well, we have our week 4 draft check-in. Cameron has lost Thomas, so Cameron's now down to 3. I'm down to 3. Kevin has the asterisk of 4 because he has the 2 alternates of Star. And Sarah still has lost nobody.
How does she do this?
I don't know, but she still came in last season with all of her picks still in at merge, so it's very possible for that.
So who does she has?
Joe, which is
Joe, who's good. She has Charity, who's a hot mess. She has Mitch
and David.
I mean, listen, her real like winner there is Joe. Mitch is not gonna win. Mitch is gonna have a great arc throughout the season. He's a hero of the season. We're gonna love Mitch.
Yes.
We're gonna love Mitch after the season. Mitch is not gonna win. And that's fine because like Mitch is playing and having a great time and we're happy for him. We love him. Charity, disaster. Bye. Get out of here. And David, listen, a similar story to Mitch. We love him.
Yes.
He's great. He's a hero of the season. We want to see him do well, and he's going to do well for a while, but he's going to get taken out.
Yeah.
So it's all on Joe.
Yeah.
And we have seen Joe, like, he has that, like, yes, he's a hero, but he knows he's playing a game. So I think he does have the potential to do really well. Like, sometimes a player like Joe is too nicey nice. I don't think he's too nicey nice. I think he knows he's playing a game and he has to vote people out. He just doesn't want to.
Right. Agreed. Well, the last thing I'll say for the predictions for next week, it looks like we're going to get, I think we're going to get kind of the payoff to the Joe and Eva storyline a little bit, because I think, so Eva's going to have a panic attack in this next episode. It's going to make Jeff cry, it looks like, and Joe's going to go over and help her probably, so.
Good.
Yeah.
And like, I hope that doesn't, I mean, somebody who's a little more villainous, somebody like a Say might see that as a bad thing. Like, got to get rid of one of them because they're too close. But like, I hope that is seen as like, outside of the context of the show, this person was having a panic attack and this other person helped, and that is the right thing to do in the situation.
Right. Exactly. It's gonna be a good moment for the show, I think. So I'm interested to see what happens there. Otherwise,
we were robbed in 45 of me being the person to help someone through a panic attack, because I would have been on the disaster yellow tribe instead of Sean.
Yeah.
And when that Brandon couldn't get up the wall and he was having a panic attack, I could have talked him through it. Yeah. Unfortunately, I was not cast on that season, and that did not happen. Yeah. But since we were robbed of it that time, I think that it's good that we get it this time.
Yeah. I mean, they misfired on that one. They chose a quitter over someone who never would have done that. So
I'd still be on the island, okay? I'd still be out there.
Yeah, exactly. All All right. I mean, that's the end of episode 4. I mean, do you have anything else, Kevin?
No, I'm just listen, Star's still a mess, but I'm really happy with my other picks, Kyle, and Camilla especially. I think they're great.
Yeah, I agree. I'm there for them. All right. Well, as we've teased a little bit here and there, yeah, we'll continue our 48 recaps. Hopefully, Cam and Sarah will hop on during the season more.
Cam, we don't need Sarah.
Yeah, we need our sweet baby Cam, but
Our little Hufflepuff.
but otherwise, yeah, I mean, we got our Survivor 1 through 50. I've teased it a little bit. You guys will find out more about that at the beginning of next month. So, yeah, stay tuned for news on that. And with that, we will see you all next time on the Tribe of Nerds.
Thank you, Sarah.